I'm Jim Fossone, and I'm an attorney with Legal Help for Veterans, and we wanted to talk today about the Purple Heart Award. We get a lot of questions here at Legal Help for Veterans relative to that, and we always turn those over to Brigadier General Carol Ann Fossone, retired. She's a nurse and heads up our problem-solving division of Legal Help for Veterans, and it's amazing how many times we get asked about the Purple Heart and how do I get a Purple Heart that I either earned or maybe my parents earned, my dad earned, and we don't have a copy of it. As many people know, the Purple Heart was established by General George Washington in 1782. It was really one of the first recognition awards. There's a whole lot of history around it, a whole lot of sort of breaking the barrier. American servicemen didn't want to be like Europeans who were dripping in awards, and so there was sort of a disinclination to give out military medals. But the Purple Heart was the first one to recognize those who had been wounded or killed in service of the United States. There's certain criteria to be awarded a Purple Heart. First and foremost, it's any action against an enemy of the United States, but it's really more complicated than that because it can be while an action with opposing armed forces of a foreign country in which the armed forces of the United States has been engaged. It can also be while you're serving with friendly foreign forces engaged in armed conflict. There's also in the regulations, it can be as a result of an act of a hostile foreign force. There's been changes to the requirements over time, including recognizing the role that injuries as a result of international terrorist attacks may have occurred to military members, and also the recognition that military members may be so injured in peacekeeping forces around the world. And then certainly there's also some regulations dealing with service members who are killed or wounded by friendly fire, which unfortunately happens. So Carol Ann, we're glad to have you here to talk about the Purple Heart today. Maybe give sort of a high-level explanation to folks about what they should understand about qualifying for the Purple Heart. And again, you do many of these phone calls with both service members and family members. So walk us through that a little bit.
Sure, Jim. Thank you. Well, one of the most important things I can share with the audience today is this regulation has been revised, and it's a lot simpler. According to, there's a new reg, AR 600-8-22. This was adopted 5 March of 2019, and it does simplify the process. It describes who is deserving of a Purple Heart, and sometimes with the examples that they give in theater, and it also gives you examples of, believe it or not, those that do not qualify, which is hard a lot of time for people to understand. And so some of the, enemy-related injuries I think that we're all aware of is the enemy bullets, the shrapnel, the projectiles, mines, traps, IEDs, warfare, chemical, biological, or nuclear agents. Some of those are, I think, very obvious, but it's the process that goes along with that wound that will award you the Purple Heart.
So let me ask about injuries caused by vehicle or airplane accidents, because you might get injured in a car accident or a vehicle accident and be qualified for VA disability, but it takes another level or type of vehicle accident, doesn't it, to qualify for the Purple Heart?
Yes, any of those accidents that occur have to be related literally to enemy action. So if you've got an accident on a truck, just because you got a wound or you needed sutures, etc., does not qualify you for the Purple Heart. And so that gets really hard to explain sometimes to our veterans.
And I suppose this is the same thing with concussion injuries. We hear from guys who got concussions playing sports while in the military, but that doesn't qualify them for a Purple Heart, does it?
No.
And I think there's times where, a guy might hear, hey, I got a Purple Heart for a concussion I had, and the guy next to him at the Legion post is wondering why he didn't get it. And it's really about whether or not the cause was related to enemy action.
Well, it's the cause, but it's also the critical point that they stress in the regulation. If you've seen a medical officer, if you have been confined to duty, if you have been pulled out of duty for 48 to 72 hours, and just because you get downtime does not constitute that. And it has to be documented extremely well, and you have had to see a medical officer. And that's clearly described in the regulation, which I think they've done an outstanding job of deferring now what does going to qualify and what does not qualify for the Purple Heart.
Yeah, I think the traumatic brain injury, the TBIs that people suffered as a result of IEDs has caused a lot of questions over time as to whether or not one qualifies or not. But those IEDs, again, we'd remind people are as a result of enemy action. And then you get to this next level of how much loss of consciousness, and that's what the new regs kind of clear up a little bit about how long you have to be out and whatnot. Is that what you're explaining to us?
Yes, because the mild traumatic brain injuries that sometimes might not occur, months, weeks later, if there has not been a loss of consciousness or restricted from duty, and it's not documented that you've seen a medical, you're not going to get the Purple Heart, and it's clearly documented in the regs. Battle fatigue, there is a whole list. The one that surprised me, Jim, beyond all, and first on the list of the non-acceptable was trench foot. When we talk about Korea, that was presumed to be an environmental issue and not at all related to the Purple Heart. And so the reg clearly distinguishes what is qualifying and not.
And that's going to be helpful for not only the veteran, but the family members. Again, they may be viewing it as, but for my military service, this wouldn't have happened. But it has to go back again to resulting from enemy action, and the environmental factors like frostbite or trench foot or heat stroke are not going to be a qualifying event. And as you say, there's a whole list of them that the regs now put out that probably make answering these questions a little more helpful, I take it.
It is, but it's still hard talking to the veteran who was in Vietnam or Korea that, they suffered this. I had one the other day. The veteran ended up with 29 stitches in his head. He's having continual headaches, etc. But he thought that's a wound. Yes, it is. That he's entitled to the Purple Heart. And clearly with the new reg, and I validated it through other sources, he will not get the Purple Heart.
Yeah, again, the wound wasn't caused by enemy action, and everybody's kind of skipping over point number one. And as a veteran disability lawyer, and those of us working here at Legal Help for Veteran would say, yeah, you may get veteran disability, but it doesn't necessarily qualify you for the award. There's a specific sort of process for seeking determination of eligibility for Purple Heart. Do you want to point out sort of where down in Fort Knox this is done and the kind of documents you have to submit? Sure.
The great thing is the Awards and Decks branch is located in Fort Knox, and we could put it up on the website. There are forms there. There are email sites. And with this regulation, what they have clearly done is put out for you the steps, and it's very clear. It's like a recipe. The number one thing you need, as you always hear, is your DD-214. You need that separation document. Now, if I look at a separation document, the DD-214, and I see on there wounded, Purple Heart, I mean, that's almost like an automatic. You should get that. So you need your DD-214. You need your chronological medical records, and that's an SF, Service Record Form 600. You need your medical record documentation. You need a one-page narrative from you, the veteran, of what happened that day. The other thing that they're relying on, again, which is very important, is if you still have buddies from your unit, from Afghanistan, 2012, we were able to just get one approved recently. I had 3 or 4 of his buddies write up the incident. It was clearly a Purple Heart awarding, that got approved. The casualty records of the day is always really helpful. Any officer records, anything that you have indicating that there was enemy fire that day, the result of the injury that you sustained. Now, the big difference is if you are still on active duty, there is a different little process. You need everything that I just spoke about, but you need the form 4187, which is your chain of command form. And this has been simplified compared to the old process. The command would need to certify that they believe it's in the appropriate action, that you're deserving of the Purple Heart to go forward. But that's a command, needs to initiate that while you're on active duty.
And a lot of these come up many years after someone gets out, because at the time, they weren't looking for any awards, they weren't looking for a pat on the back, they didn't even want this recognition. But as the years and decades go by, they see it as important. They see it as something that their family can hang on to, something that may create some additional benefits for them in the VA system. Is there a statutory time limit? Do I have to get my Purple Heart awarded within 5 years of the action or anything like that?
Well, this is the other unique thing, Jim. This is the oldest award for us with the Purple Heart, but it also has a neat quality. There is no statutory time limit with the Purple Heart. It doesn't apply at all.
I have a couple more questions, but there's always forms with the VA. So is there a particular place where one goes to try to get the right forms that I might need?
Sure. And let me see if I could give this to you. But this is a great website. It's www.va.gov/find, F-I-N-D, -forms, F-O-R-M-S, /.
Well, again, sometimes it's hard to find this stuff, so it's helpful to have at least a starting point on the forms. But I wanted to ask a question. How does the Purple Heart deal with those who've been wounded multiple times?
Well, the Purple Heart is authorized for the first wound suffered under conditions indicating that we've talked about today, under enemy fire, the deserving of the Purple Heart. So let's say you're in an event and you injure your arm, you injure your foot, you take shrapnel to your abdomen. You don't earn 3 Purple Hearts, you get 1 Purple Heart. Then let's say you have another incident, a fire, explosion, missile, etc. Then you would be awarded, you have to go through the whole process all over again on another day, another time period within your service, and you apply for it the same way. And then if awarded, you would not get another Purple Heart, you would get the oak leaf cluster. So you could combine, when you hear people have 3 Purple Hearts, it's that they have the Purple Heart and 2 oak leaf clusters.
And again, for our veterans, that'll be a familiar situation. A lot of folks get multiple medals and get the Oakley clusters to recognize those multiple meritorious service awards or whatever they might be. It's you've been doing this for 10 years now, helping veterans post-retirement. Do you still get regular calls from people looking for help on their Purple Hearts?
Oh, yes. I probably am getting at least 10 emails, phone calls a month, and I think that's on the lower side. Jim, I think people are realizing their service, and a lot of times it's not the veteran, it's our family members, and they're going through some of the memorabilia, they're finding paperwork, they're saying, oh my God, my uncle earned a Purple Heart and we can't find it anywhere. And that's another interesting piece. If you write in to Fort Knox, next of kin can get that award resurfaced if you're aware that the individual has been awarded the Purple Heart.
And this doesn't require an advocate or a lawyer. Don't pay anybody for this. This is something you can do yourself if you're a veteran or a family member. That's why here at Legal Help for Veterans we're posting a new blog. We're doing this interview, and I believe is there an eBook that's coming out, General?
Yes, well, there are 2 ebooks, Jim. We have one ebook on how to update your military records, because this is one thing that I would suggest if you do get a Purple Heart or you've earned a Purple Heart and it's not on your DD-214, you need to get that updated. So that's number one. And then we do have an ebook on that. And then within that, we also have how to get the Purple Heart.
Well, we would hope that this information made available so that veterans and family members can do this on their own, that they can have enough information to get started. The folks down at Fort Knox are pretty darn helpful, but you do have to follow, I think your word was the recipe. You got to give them all the ingredients so that they can make a determination. And we want to thank you today, Brigadier General Carol Ann Fauson, retired, for spending a little time with us and helping advise people on how they might get established that they're entitled to a Purple Heart. And if they're a family member and they can't find dad or the uncles, maybe by contacting Fort Knox they can get another one for the family. So thanks for your time today.
You're very welcome.